Well, we had a little setback on my fertilizer spreader, my new Kubota Fertilizer spreader. Creek's in good shape. A little cooler today. I mentioned the other day on one of my videos that I had to cut the PTO shaft on the Kubota spreader to fit my John Deere, and all it took off was about an inch. The problem I've got with the fertilizer spreader is not so much a problem with the fertilizer. It's a mistake that I have made on calculating the rates that I'm going to put down. And I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's 3 holes in the bottom of this fertilizer spreader. Let me open this thing so you can see it. So you see those 3 holes right there? And so down here on this metering device, it limits how far open or how far closed those holes are. There's some numbers that should be staring at me right here. They go across here that you calibrate this thing to, and those numbers are on this side. They've got this piece installed backwards, so I need to take that loose and fix it. I'm gonna go ahead and take care of that now. Not only are they on the wrong side, but they're upside down. I don't know if you can see that or not. So I'm gonna motor this John Deere in this spreader to where I can take a look-see. I also need to measure the distance on these springs. They have to be set at like 1/16 of an inch for this slip clutch to work properly. So let me take this John Deere over, and then we'll talk about the setback on the fertilizer spreader here in just a second. I meant to show you in my other video that when this thing's doing its wig-wag thing, this big agitator, it's moving around too, and I'll show you that here when I pull out here in the sunlight where you can see it. So when you look at that agitator, the first thing you think is it spins around. But that's not what it does. It follows the motion of that pendulum right there. And I opened a hole so you could see. See that agitator kind of moves across those openings, and then it's wiping fertilizer and kind of clearing the debris. All right, so I'll get some tools and see if I can fix that. So to get this thing off, I'll take it loose here in just a second, but you can see there's no numbers on that side, and I was a little concerned about, you know, how that thing fit up in there. Did it snap in? But apparently you just pull it out and it just comes out, and that's like a series of jaws in there. So let me pull this thing out. So what I'm after are the numbers on this side. So the way they had it in, and you know, no harm, no foul. But when I pried it loose, when I took the screws out that were holding it in place here, I noticed all these markings on the side of this thing. I'm like, what in the world? Has somebody been, I don't know if you can see that or not. I was thinking, has somebody been carving on that thing? And what it is, this piece of plastic, it's got ears on it, and those nubs on either sides slip inside the hole here. So you can't pry it. I can show you this. Hang on a second. So you can't pry on this thing with a screwdriver in one direction, because what you do is you pry open this. I'm trying to hold it in the camera. You pry open this side and then the top of this side. So what I had to do is put a screwdriver in one direction and one in the other, so that I'm prying on all four corners of that, all four edges of that slot, and it opened up really nice. We'll see how it works when it goes back. Again, the numbers were upside down, and so when I put it back in, I'll have it flipped over where you can read the numbers correctly. No harm, no foul. I'd have probably done it the same way. Alright, so let me try to get this thing up in here with the numbers in the right direction. And again, this thing just fits like that. It's pretty, I don't know if you can see that. This thing just fits in there like that. And then I'll have to wrestle this arm right here. So let me set the camera down for just a minute. That's going to be fun going back in there. Let me see what I can do. Alright, so I got it open now. I just got to work this thing so it'll fall in the hole just like that. And now I got my numbers where they need to be. It's all hooked up back there, and when I adjust this little knob right here, you can see there's more numbers. And let me put this screw back in here before I make a fatal mistake and forget. I'll be right back. So the nut on the back side here is an eye lock nut. So don't need it too tight, just enough to hold it so this thing can pivot without binding. So this piece is in place like it should be, and I've got the numbers facing this on this side. You can see one of them right there, but I've backed this thing all the way back to the setting of 96. And when I do that, what that does is when I open the gate, they're full open. Alright? So a lot of fertilizer coming out of this thing in that scenario. Now when you look at the bottom of that fertilizer spreader, just like it's depicted here, there's 3 openings. And based on the amount of fertilizer, and I'm just going to use 100 pounds, you know, if I'm putting down nitrogen, and I'm putting down 46%, let's say that's 2 bags of fertilizer and would be 100 pounds. And so on our fields, we can't go like 7 or 8 miles an hour. When you got a heavy load on the back of this John Deere, maybe the Big Massey might be different, but you know, there's bumps and things like that in these fields, and there's the ever-present groundhog hole. So we don't go too fast, but fourth gear at 540 PTO on this tractor is like 4.3 miles an hour, and high range first gear is like 5.4. And the way this chart breaks down, it has 4.3 on it and 5.3. Maybe you can see that. But if I go and I want to put down 100 pounds of granular fertilizer, this is Kubota has a program online. You can do this out of the manuals and with a little slide rule gizmo they got, but you can go online and you can punch all your information in. They have various pictures of different types of fertilizer, and then you can pick which one you want, whether you want urea, which is what this one is, or you can pick DAP 18460 or potash 0060, and it'll spit out this chart, and it'll tell you, how many pounds per minute, but more importantly, it tells you the setting that you need, the number that you need to set the fertilizer spreader. So at 4.3 miles an hour, if I'm looking to dump 100 pounds of fertilizer, and it is pounds per acre, then I need to have this setting on 21. That gives me 106 pounds per acre. And so let me set this thing and I'll show you what those openings look like. So each of these numbers is in increments of 6, and then there's a hash mark between. So this is 18, so 21 would be right there. And so right there's the travel now that this lever will move, and you can see how much movement we took out of it, because it was sitting right at 96. So now when I close that thing, it barely moves. And then we look up here at the hopper, and it's like these openings are really small. I'm gonna let this thing down a little bit so I can reach in it and see better. Okay, I've got it let down where I can actually, you see how small of an opening that is? And that may be no problem. Right there's the opening. That may be no problem. It may not clog, but when you run the program, it says they recommend the fine seed kit. Now what the fine seed kit does is it closes off 2 of those holes. And so if I run the same numbers with the fine seed kit on the program, same fertilizer, granular, but you can see on the diagram here, there's 2 of those holes that are covered. So now at 4.3 miles per hour, I want 100 pounds of fertilizer going down per acre. Then this thing needs to be set on 42. And so we've had it set on 21. So 42 is right here, and we're on 21. So let me move it out and we'll see how much more we get. One thing I wanted to point out is that this pounds per minute value right here, Kubota says that they want that to be above 45 pounds per minute, and anything lower than that they recommend the fine seed kit. And the program gives you the option of doing that input or not doing that input, and that's where I got from 3 openings to only 1. This is with the fine kit and fine seed kit in place. So as I mentioned, I need to move that to position 42. So again, right there's position 42. So let me do that, and I'll be right back. So when I put this thing on 42, which I'd probably set it right there, I gain that much more travel. And so I can open this thing up that much more. So when I put the fine seed kit on, these openings are covered up. This one opens up to a bigger gap, and it's less likely to clog because of the size of that. It doesn't look like much, and you know, my gut feeling is I'd be a little skeptical that it would make that much difference. But you know, one time we had our Lely, and I just needed to put down some fertilizer for second cut, and I don't think I was putting down even 30 actual units of nitrogen. It was something really small, and I had the metering outlet on that Lely really small, and I don't think I made it one pass around the field, and the thing, you know, the thing plugged. And you know, the gut feeling is to not to block off those 2 openings, but rather just let it thin down. But the Lely, it was a bad deal when that thing plugged. And you know, when you got like 800 pounds of fertilizer over top of a stopped up fertilizer opening, it's really inconvenient, to say the least. And so what I had to do on that deal is, fertilizer was coming out, and I had to make my best guess as what kind of rate we were going. And I went back and forth and perpendicular. I don't know how many passes I made before it finally ran out. And the way the fine seed kit works, I believe these 2 are plugged and this one is open. So I'm going to start this tractor, and I'm going to turn the PTO on, and then we'll just kind of see what kind of wiping motion goes on over top of this hole. So if a clump did land in here, you know, would this thing wipe it off? I'll try not to get my legs into that thing. Kind of stand around to the side here. But you can see that it would definitely wipe whatever obstacle is in the way if there's a chunk of some sort. And so we'll probably I'll probably call the dealer and have them send out the seed kit. All it is just a cover that fits down over that shaft, and it costs like $45. So so no fertilizing today, and so that's the video. I got the Kubota VS 1000 spreader, 600 base unit, and then when my hopper comes in, that'll take it up to the 1000 designation. I got to put the shields back on the PTO. I need to make sure the slip clutch is loose. It's probably a good thing that I didn't spread fertilizer today. You know, I'd like to put a wrench on a few more screws down here. Running out of daylight to do anything today, and I'm gonna put this thing away. So, you know, again, appreciate you watching the videos. There'll be several coming out as I kind of get my sea legs with this fertilizer spreader. And so again, the Kubota VS 1000, the John Deere 5055D. It's getting colder. It's going to rain some next week, but I think the following week we're going to have some more rain. So sometime later in the week, or I'm going to try to get that seed kit overnighted so I can get it in there and get this fertilizer down. And once we start spreading fertilizer, there'll be some more videos on that, and so we'll talk to you later.